Hello, my name is Gabriel Trevino, and I'm with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts, and we're here with BSPA President Dr. Michael Quantz. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Gabriel. Thanks so much for hanging out and putting me through my paces with 10 questions.
How did you get into playing the guitar?
It was a part of my misguided youth. I saw the great blues musician, Freddie King. My father took me to a concert of his in 1970. And Freddie was just an incredibly passionate, energetic musician. And I had never seen anything like that. I was just completely blown away by watching that event. Wow. And I just thought, wow, I'd really like to learn how to do that. And that's what really got me into music.
You asked for a guitar right away?
Oh yeah. Some off-brand guitar that I got, some
acoustic
plastic.
Or
first one was a plastic acoustic,
oh, okay.
And immediately I thought I can do better, and so I bugged my parents until I got an electric, and was cranking out some Beatles tunes and stuff like that. I'd pick them off my 45 records. And then when I became a teenager, I kind of moved to some different styles. Some influences were Chick Corea and Return to Forever, Al Di Meola, and even some acoustic steel string guys like Leo Kaki. It wasn't until I went to university as a music major that I really discovered classical guitar.
And that's my second question, by the way. So how does a guitarist, how do you choose between genres of music? Like what drives you into classical rather than everybody wants to go for the rock and roll?
Well, it was a moment. I had never heard classical guitar before. I got a vinyl of Andres Segovia, Decca record label, playing classical guitar. I couldn't believe that was just one guitar. I had never heard anything like that on guitar in any genre, and I thought, I have to learn how to do that. It was an obsession. You're compelled, and that's what really draws you into music. You have to be kind of, in a way, unbalanced.
Tell us, how did you first hear about Berta Rojas, our special guest for the 17th Guitar Festival?
Oh, yeah. And it's quite the disparity between Berta and Javier. Berta I met in 2005. I got a very official letter from the Beatty Foundation in Washington, D.C., inviting me to be the head judge of their first ever youth competition. And I thought I don't know any of these people. There was a list of their board members. I had no idea who they were, never heard of them. And I'd been around the guitar world for a long time. And so I made some phone calls and looked them up online. Oh, they were legit. Berta's name wasn't on this at all.
Okay.
And so I went to D.C., was picked up by Tim, who was on the board at that time, ferried to this venue. I still had no idea who was doing all of this. And then eventually Berta arrived and introduced herself and was so complimentary and said, we want to develop this thing right now, right here at this moment. The way people responded to her, especially the kids, we had youth competitors ages 7 through 14, and they responded to her like you only see in like fairy tales. They just adored her, and she was such a graceful and supportive presence. And I'd never up to that point even heard of her. She was just an amazing guide, an amazing person, and one of the most devoted artistic spirits I'd ever met till this day.
What would you say motivated you into saying we have to have her for this event?
Not only was I just massively impressed by her personality and her spirit and her graciousness, when she gave me one of her CDs, I listened to it and I was just amazed by not only the elan of her musical interpretation, but the fact that she had incredible range of expression. She could get really kind of dark and powerful, wow, as well as being so melodious and graceful as an artist. And that was surprising to me. Ever since, I've been a great fan of her.
So what makes a great classical guitarist? What would you say?
Yeah, somebody who has devoted themselves to the awareness of the sound that the instrument can produce. And it's a huge variety of sound. There's no other acoustic instrument that has the range of sound quality from a very bright, almost crystalline sound to a very dark, almost clarinet-y sound. There's no other acoustic instrument that has that range. And since it's not as powerful as other instruments, that's what we really tend to take advantage of. There are other characteristics of articulation and vibrato and that sort of thing, but that's really the thing that makes it super expressive.
Nice.
And plus, it's just a quality of sound that people gravitate to. And it's also a very tactile instrument. It's a really cool thing to play.
Most definitely. Javier Jara, tell us about Javier, and when did you first learn about him?
Well, Javier won the Guitar Foundation of America solo competition, and that is the top of the top solo guitar competitions in the world.
Where's that held? By the way?
It's held in different cities across America every year.
So there's a foundation that.
Oh yeah. It's the National Foundation for Classical Guitar, and that's been its focus for I think. When did they start? 1974 is when they began out in California.
Nice.
But Javi won that competition, and because I've been connected to that organization in one way or another for a long time, we get to bring most of those people down to Brownsville, a very reasonable cost. Part of what they win in that competition is a 50-plus city tour, which is basically a career starter. Prize is not massive, but the tour, that is massive. And that's why every ambitious
Is there some sort of record
guitarist,
deal that happens?
Yes, they also have a Naxos record deal.
Nice.
So that's when I met Javier. I found him to be if you win that competition, you're already an extraordinary musician.
Nice.
But also, I found him to be extraordinarily convivial. He works with the students in just a fabulous way. As young as he is, he's very circumspect and sensitive, not only his music making, but how he coaches students in their music.
Tell us, how did the Guitar Festival start? Where did the idea spark from?
I actually blame one of my colleagues for suggesting this way back in the day in 2001. I was talking with my friend Dr. Richard Urbish, who's since retired, from University of Texas, Brownsville. And we were talking about how the guitar, in terms of young and developing students of the instrument, budding artists really, don't have a lot of options in terms of places to go and do their thing, to meet others who do that. It's like a convention kind of idea, right?
Right.
You have an interest like photography or technology or anything like that, or band, orchestra, choir. There are places to go, right? And you share that.
And sometimes even with those, there's subjects that people will gather or gravitate
sub headings and fields, like,
because sometimes it's so broad.
Young students of art on the instrument, there wasn't really a lot to go for. You know, there was a little bit of UIL competition for secondary students in Texas. And
right.
That was it. There was nothing else. So we started this as a showcase for guitar groups. And there are certain advantages to that. First, it's a real motivator for the whole idea of teaching guitar in groups, in classes especially. And that targets public education specifically. And that is a place where most students would never have the option in terms of finances or just connecting to a real quality acoustic guitar teacher or any guitar that would give them the quality orientation for their learning so that they could continue. They would basically not only learn stuff they want to learn, but they would learn how to learn. And they would be exposed to this huge vista of human expression. That is hundreds of years long. I mean, you go back to the lute. We basically still play that music on acoustic guitar. So we're talking the 1500s when playing on a plucked string fretted instrument really started to gain steam. okay? Some of that music is as intricate, as beautiful, and as complex as anything written today. So the reasons for doing that were just, and it still runs the gamut.
The evolution of the music.
Yeah, we're still, that's one of the great benefits of playing music on the guitar. It runs a real gamut from Renaissance lute music through the Baroque, through classical, romantic, and of course in the 20th century, Spanish music just exploded on the instrument, starting in the 1900s. Francisco Tárrega, who's known as the father of modern guitar technique, who also wrote some pretty amazing tunes like Recuerdos de la Alhambra, one of the most famous pieces ever. That idea of taking the beauty and the impact of that music, giving groups of students an opportunity to learn that, shoot for an event, play the event, and then share all of that with everybody else who's doing the same thing. That's an incredible boost, legitimizing their own experience. It's a mutual boost to everybody's interest and enthusiasm. It's a really wonderful thing to do. And we're so fortunate because we've had so many people help us do that. It really changed the profession. It was one of the pieces that changed the profession of teaching music on the guitar in public education in this country.
Nice.
So it worked.
What about this? This is really good and sets us up for the next question. So what is one of the most positive reaction that you've received, maybe from somebody attending the event or somebody that have participated in the event, even if it's a performer? What have you seen, like the most positive reaction? They say, man, everything we're doing is worth this.
That's a really cool question, because in thinking about answering it, it really makes me go mentally to all of those responses. Okay, you say from the artists. One of the artists that we have had, and hopefully, cross your fingers, knock on wood and all that we had a few years ago, and I'm looking at the poster right here, David Russell, multi-Grammy winner, Scottish guitarist who grew up in Spain. Just one of the most wonderful artistic presence in the world. And this is one of those guys, one of those artists, male or female, youth virtuoso or grand, wise man of the profession or wise woman of the profession, who's changed the way we do the thing on the instrument. His ideas, especially about Baroque music, changed the way everybody thinks about it. Okay. So he's like one of those milestone artists, kind of like Berta is with South American music, changed the way everybody thinks about that kind of music. Nice. So we had him, and he came backstage for intermission at a concert, and as he always does, he hugged his wife Maria, and he was just smiling and beaming, and the audience was still, they gave him a standing ovation at intermission, well deserved, of course. Mm-hmm. And he said, "It's like The Price is Right here. It's the most amazing energy of any audience I've ever seen." And that tends to be typical of this event. So that's the artist. The students take it very seriously, which motivates them to be more aware, to be poised to share more, to be poised to work harder and go further. So they understand what the standards are in the profession. Without it, you really don't. We just live in our own little world in our school, and that's it, okay? But when you're exposed to the broader thing, man, you really start to understand stuff. Nice. So some of them, they want to win. This year we're not doing a competition, it's just ratings. They say it's one of the best experiences.
It's the right experience for
the students. And then the teachers and directors. The best quote I can say from a guitar teacher who came from Oklahoma and brought his groups all the way from Oklahoma. By the way, Anchorage, Alaska is the furthest any group has traveled.
Wow.
To participate here. He said it changed his life.
Wow.
It changed the way he thought of what is possible for teaching guitar in the classroom. And he went on to be the director of education for the Guitar Foundation of America.
Nice.
So, and in the community, we've had young students who are interested in music and playing the guitar see all of these events, clinics, master classes, and of course the concerts, and really become kind of struck like I was when I was a kid and react like, ooh, that's amazing. I need to learn how to do that. So it really runs, as you inquired, it runs the whole gamut of people who participate.
Perfect. What are some of the challenges of putting the event together?
So many challenges. Just as an example, this year because of the crisis in Europe, we had to change our featured artists. It's under those kind of circumstances that affect so many people in the world so desperately that we had to make those adjustments, especially the people in Ukraine. We really want to make it known that we support them. We're looking at having to have substituted the artists within a 2-week window of notice, but we were super fortunate to get the artists that we have now, Berta Rojas and Javier Jara. Just amazing and perfect for our event. Funding is always something that we work very, very hard to achieve. We have grant funding, we have individual sponsors, we have different types of in-kind contributions. The University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, Texas Southmost College. Our largest grants are local, the Brownsville Public Utilities Board and the City of Brownsville grants. Right. And without those, especially coming out of the pandemic, it would have been impossible to run this event again.
Yeah, that's a big hurdle there. The pandemic really affected a lot of people and organizations, especially nonprofits, I'm sure.
Big time.
So 17th annual, that's what is different between when you started and now, or what do you like that has remained the same throughout the years?
Well, the fact that we have the same kind of activities that are productive year in, year out, no matter what the technology is, no matter what the styles are, or no matter what the emerging techniques are, or anything. We play for one another. We talk about music. We talk about how to play it. We talk about how to interpret it. We talk about what are the elements of a style. Nice. We motivate developing players, especially from the secondary level, middle school, all the way up through university graduate level, to go to a place and share their accomplishments and to listen to each other and to be motivated by that. Beyond that motivation, competitively, it's a personal validation as well, right? Yes. For our community at large to experience some of the best players in the world.
Truly.
And not have to go anywhere. Yeah, oh yeah. And not have to go anywhere to have that experience. And even if you don't play any instruments, it's amazing to see people do this.
Right.
To be uplifted, to not worry about anything, just go and listen to this. And
truly a great event for Brownsville.
Yeah. So all of those things make it a very worthwhile thing to do.
Dr. Michael Quantz, last words?
You should come see one of these events, if not both.
March 25th and 26th.
March 25th and 26th at the TSC Performing Arts Center. You can buy tickets online at BrownsvilleGuitarFest.com. Just go to the Artist Concerts page there, and you can click the button that says Buy Tickets. We will also have tickets available at the door. Doors open at 6 p.m. on both evenings, and the concerts start more or less at 7 o'clock.
Right on. Perfect. Just a little plug-in. We're here at the KXIQ 105.1 FM. Truly one of the greatest radio stations, educational radio. Tell us a little bit about that. Just closing up here.
This is the brainchild of the late, great George Ramirez, who for 20 years was the principal patron and president of the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. We're here courtesy of Lone Star National Bank, who has been an absolutely wonderful stalwart sponsor of the radio station and the Brownsville Latin Jazz Festival.
Broadcasting from
Boca Chica Tower on
quoting George Ramirez.
Oh yeah, but I don't quite have the LA accent that he used in recording that spot. Yeah, this whole idea is to be a kind of a nexus for information, understanding, and communication for the community. We're just now starting to develop our local interest programming for news and events, culture, arts, opportunities. We hope to bring in entities like Brownsville Public Utilities Board for like emergency preparedness, Lone Star National Bank as finance advisors, City of Brownsville for grant opportunities, supporting other nonprofits. We're going to be developing local artist, musician kinds of support programming. And our biggest launch is going to be our kind of flagship program, which is going to be Brownsville Matters.
Brownsville does matter.
Yeah, it does. Big time. So we're looking at launching that this summer, and we're super excited about it. Right now, we've got W.F. Strong, who is a national bestseller on Amazon with his book Stories from Texas.
Got an amazing voice, by the way.
Oh yeah,
the voice of radio, or the voice for a personality.
Oh,
everywhere.
it's perfect. It's perfect. And as I say, my parents told me that I had a face for radio, so I figured that was a good guide for my next pathway.
There we go. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Michael Quantz, for being here and providing this great information for the city of Brownsville.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.